Live.
We're live. Hello, everyone.
This moment probably isn't, but just a second will be. If you're tuned into this, you're probably either watching this video back after we finish streaming, or you're extremely quick on the draw. You were cruising through Facebook and you just clicked right on the video. So welcome. If you're listening to this right now, we'd love to know how we look and sound before we dive into this, and then I'll let Steven explain what we're doing here.
Don't tell us how we look, actually. Just as the video quality.
How the quality of the video looks.
Video quality, okay. We've got some new live streaming gear that's really been a nice addition to what we're capable of doing. You might notice that the video looks better than it has in the past, and we're streaming directly through our standard filming cameras. So huge improvement for us, and let us know if it's working out, because there's still obviously always kinks that need to be ironed out, especially in the world of live production.
That's right.
Is, a cruel world.
Matt Garrett, local, says video is excellent. Also,
thank you, Matt. You're
Facebook
excellent.
did this thing called Top Fans. Have you seen this going on?
I have. Yes, I got the diamond.
So I'm going to shout out to Matt Garrett here, being a top
fan.
Matt.
You have been a critical part of our Tulsa community
since day zero.
Since day zero.
Yeah.
Right. Introduced us to Netrunner, the old one. So we played the classic Netrunner because Matt brought it into the store, and then out of nowhere, the new version gets announced. Essentially, did we play it before the new one was announced?
He talked about it before they announced it, and then they announced that they had the license, and then he brought that game in and showed it to us. And he actually left copies at the store so we could basically demo people.
Nice.
And play it. And then it actually came out, obviously, and he was a huge part of the Netrunner community for a long time here. But still, he plays Keyforge now, and vital part of the community.
A lot of us made the little transition to Keyforge. Well, Zach, let's kick it off. Let's get right into it here. If you are watching this because it's been pre-recorded, then we don't want to waste your time. You live streamers, you'll hop in as you come along. But just looking here, this is the Heroes of the Grid core box. And so it's one of those things that is giant and it's really satisfying to hold.
Massive.
It's big. I mean, there's a lot going on here.
Yeah.
So here's the front. We've also got the back here. It gives a nice little rundown. I'll get that a little closer. It's a little bit out of focus. Gives a rundown of like how the board looks and everything that you need to know about playing it. It's got some nice Rita art over here, and really just does a pretty good job of shopping the game to anybody holding this box. It feels powerful, right?
Sure.
It feels very important.
And you just have a nice we said this on previous videos, but the balance between I've been watching the first season of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers again.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of camp. Right?
there's a little camp.
There's a lot of camp going on.
It was TV
I feel like
at that age.
The art style of this, even when you start looking at the cards, which you'll see in classic, is a lot really in line with the comics, and it's somewhere in between like the show and the comics. Man, there's a lot of the comic art just involved in it. Matt says he's blushing. So I really like the style. Like you look at the cover, the way it looks. It's not the like super minimal all white. It's also not the like super. It's got to be bright and colorful because the Ranger colors.
Right, but it's not campy like you said. It's respectful. I keep saying that it's respectful. I don't know. You'll probably get what that means just by seeing it. I agree with you completely though. It's tastefully done. It doesn't feel like you're like trying to relive your childhood days. It feels like this is appropriate rendering of the thing that you used to love or still do for many of us.
And I think the best way I can say it, since I thought about this while you were talking.
Please do.
I think it's serious while still being fun.
Okay, cool.
It's not goofy.
That's what I want my mission statement
to be. It's not goofy, but it's also not like so serious that it's going to be like only if you're a serious Power Rangers fan, can you play this game?
Absolutely. It doesn't bring it out of that realm. So one thing we should note. Sorry about this. We do not have the rule book to hold and show you, which we didn't think would be a problem, but then we posted the last video and like people were scooping the stills of the video that had the rule book in it because I guess nobody's seen it. So for apologies there, we gave that to our video editor here, Jonathan, who did that video, and one of the reasons it looks so good is he studied out all those rules and used what the rule book said to help in the video, and I believe he might have that with him in Alaska right now.
Yes, he's not here with us at the moment. That said, I do also want to mention that this is a pre-production copy of the game.
Very important.
So Renegade sent this to us early so we could make the videos that we've been posting. But the reality is that the models particularly, I think, are not their like final exact, this is exactly what you're going to get, but they're pretty close. So if you're getting the Kickstarter, I think that's shipping late July from what I saw from the Facebook group. And if you're not in the Facebook group, you should check that out. But
it's good people in there.
And then the game is actually coming out, this game right here, in August to retail. So if you get the game and you open it and it's not 100% what you're seeing right here, that's why.
Pre-production copy. Let's start with the board here. Here, what do you want to do with this?
You just hold it.
All right, here's the board. This is your little power board. I'm going to zoom in on a close-up here. We're going to get a little wild, just see if we can really do the magic.
One thing I want to point out while you're figuring that out, Renegade didn't have to do this, but look at the back of that board.
Hold on. Look at we're finally in focus. You're telling me to flip it over.
Yep.
Give you a little up-close view of this. You got your power levels. So this is how you track basically up to your Megazord. So power level 1, you get your first Zord, and then on 6, you get your Megazord. And then these are the little slots where you put the foot soldiers as you remove them from the board. So let's go ahead and grab one of those guys. Yeah. So as you kind of track your progress essentially in corpses here like this. So you'll fill these up with more and more corpses, and then once you reach this level, then you'll up your power level, grab one of these random Zord cards, and that now joins your team, and then you reset this track to 0 and go back up to level 2. So this is the little power board that comes with it. You say you want me to flip it over?
Well, hold on. It's also worth pointing out this is where your energy goes. Your
right, the extra energy. Yeah.
Yeah. So every time you initiate a fight, you get a certain amount of shared energy based on the players that are playing.
I shouldn't do that. Those aren't real. Those are ours.
Those are ours. We'll get. I think the tokens are in here, right?
Yeah, they should be.
Hopefully
Unless we burn them in a fire.
Burn the cardboard. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, it's power board's nice, and you can flip it over and see. This is what I'm talking about, though. It's just a lot of nice little touches. It's just the back of a board, right? This could have been blank.
It could have been blank.
And no one would have probably noticed or cared.
We know how much it costs between a front side and a double side print. I paid some money for this.
It's
just
real.
to give me this feeling
but it
right
looks
now.
nice.
Yeah. All right.
Cool.
There's the power board.
So I'm just going to start pulling stuff out here. So you get these like plastic trays with the figures in them. And this is actually super nice right here.
And all these trays.
Steven's favorite part of the game.
Look at all these trays.
Are we still zoomed in? No, we're not. Okay.
No, we're not zoomed in.
So we've obviously opened everything up, all the cards and all the characters and stuff, but they'll have the nice little slot. So this is your foot soldiers. So you have your super putty patrollers and your putty patrollers. Ton of models here. I'm going to do a quick count.
I have
a list.
I mean, it's 6 by what? 4? Is that correct? 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. 6 by 4 is 24. 12 of each? Sounds right, huh?
My list isn't updating.
Well, that's what this is. It's 12 of each. Got blocked by that force field. I'm going to start pulling these guys out. I want to set them all up on like
all the stuff. So yeah, 24 foot soldiers, so 12 of each. That would be absolutely correct. And so I'm going to go ahead and clear out the box really quick. And we'll cover this stuff in just a minute. Looks like we have a token. I don't know where the other tokens went.
I think they're also in Alaska, Zach, if I'm being honest with you.
John ran off with all our tokens.
Well, when you're designing, you kind of just want to surround yourself with... It's probably not worth showing them, because I think pre-production, they may change actually quite a bit.
Oh, the tokens?
Yeah.
Bones. I loved Bones as a kid.
Bones the enemy?
Villain. Yep. He's just a mix between a skeleton and Zorro.
Nice.
Is how I would frame him.
What could be more fun?
And as an adult, I thought he was just ridiculous as a kid, but Pudgy Pig is one of my favorites out of this box. Every time I see his model, I just smile a little bit, and I can't control it.
I mean,
he's got arms coming out of his mouth.
He definitely, that model delivers on the promise of Pudgy Pig, for sure.
It's everything I imagine when you say those words.
Everything you want, yeah. So we're getting 24 total foot soldiers here out of the box, and you can tell these are nice. We'll get a close up on these guys.
Yeah, I have a lot to say.
They're really high quality. Miniatures are getting better, like spinning up, especially plastics seem to be getting better and better. Or resin, there's a big difference. And see, this is a problem. I don't actually know enough about miniatures to know.
You're not a miniature cat. Divide these all out. So there's a whole stack of cards, and I'm going to start separating these. You're showing the models, right?
I'm going to put these guys on the close up here, and let's just look at these. All right, so we've got 12 of these foot soldiers. I'll kind of spread them out, so hopefully you can see they're all the same pose.
And one thing,
nothing fancy.
Renegade made a lot of choices here because I think they knew they were building a game that was going to be somewhere between board game and miniature game, and they're very traditionally a board game company. So a lot of people that are going to be painting this game, it may very well be their first game to paint. And the decisions they made here that I am a big fan of are, one, all these models are pre-assembled.
Yeah,
which is
necessary.
Absolutely just what I'm looking for in a modern game. The other element is that they're, at least the Rangers are color schemed after what you would expect them to be.
They've got some schemes. You can play with them just right off the bat because they got the right colors.
Yeah.
That's what you mean, right? Look at them.
100%.
Red, blue.
You zoomed in on these? Great.
Yeah, I'm just showing these. I mean, this is cool, right? This looks like a clay-based zombie army, right?
I think that's what they're going for.
All right, I'm going to flip it back to us. Here we go.
Don't make any goofy faces.
Let's get these guys out of here. Let's show the big dads off.
Okay, so, the supers.
Yeah. And then you can continue to whatever you're dealing with over there.
Well, I was just making sure we're saying the right amount of things going on.
Well, it's in the box.
Phantom's saying I couldn't participate in the Kickstarter, and I'm currently hoping it will be out before August 29th because I want it in time for my birthday. I do think that will be the case. Every indication seems to be mid to late August, which would be around that time.
Look at these guys. You don't want that on the board.
The Super Putty Patrollers?
Look at these guys.
They're mean. They're mean.
Look at these guys, and they look good. Look at those.
They do.
I've got my focus set back a little bit.
If you remember them from the show, they're also like monochromatic, monocolored. I don't know if that's the right way to say that.
Monochromatic is essentially mean monochrome.
Bill Johnson asking, are these figures supposed to be painted or can you paint them if you wanted? These are intended to be painted. They made the Rangers, which I'll just throw one in here. Are you zoomed in or not?
Yeah, I'm zoomed in.
Right. Put the Red Ranger in there. So the Rangers are all colored what you would expect them to be. Whereas all the villains the foot soldiers and monsters and bosses are just a gray color. And so these are definitely meant to be painted if you want. You definitely don't have to. We've been playing a lot, having a good time, not painting whatsoever. But if this is one of your first games to paint, I was saying this a little bit ago, Renegade made great choices for you, one of which is the pre-assembled, one of which the color. The third biggest thing they did is that these miniatures are bigger than your average miniature. So I think they're 6 or 8 millimeters, like the scale is up. So if you look, if you just look at the size of this Blue Ranger, sorry, I didn't mean to ruin your shot. I should have grabbed a miniature from a different game, but these are actually notably bigger, which is going to make them a lot easier to paint. And
they're
to
bigger, aren't they?
Yeah.
They have a good heft to them too, and they're not. One thing about miniatures that kind of drives me crazy is whenever they have these little pieces that tend to bend. This all seems very solid. Like even the staff in a traditional miniatures game, your stabs would usually be like bendy and feel awkward, but everything here feels really static. Everything's like thick enough to maintain its shape. It's really good. I mean, we never ran into any issues during play utilizing these miniatures and feeling like we could get them where they needed to be. And they've been in and out of a box probably 20 times.
Yep. And they're holding up just fine.
Everything's fine.
So you obviously get 5 different Rangers in the core game. We have the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the original. I did not realize that there are like 30 different versions of the Rangers.
It got cooler for me whenever I started diving into
Force,
the comic
Hyper
stuff.
Force,
yeah.
Technology Force, all kinds of forces.
Technology
Force. Are you zoomed
and,
in still?
And DOS Force.
DOS Force.
No.
Right.
I will though. Let's show Pudgy off.
These are the villains and bosses. So we have Rita Repulsa and all the enemies. You get 5 of these. Models. So we're looking at 24, 29, 34 models.
Nope, I'm off.
I think we're at 34. You're off. Is it showing the wrong thing?
Yeah, no, I've got it. I just got to move them up and back a little bit. Set up my shot.
Bill, you're definitely welcome. He says he's loving the videos and he thanks us for doing them. He's also a top fan. Thanks for being a top fan.
All
Bill.
right.
That's awesome.
Yeah, get that diamond
He
going.
says he's never painted before. I think this would be a great first at-bat. I would 100% recommend starting with the foot soldiers. You have a bunch of those models, and so you can kind of paint them assembly line, but you also get a lot of practice, and then slowly work your way into some of these more complex models.
There they are, right up top.
Looking good. Look at Pudgy. Those arms coming out of his mouth are hilarious.
Yeah,
to me. He's got a fork and a knife.
Just right here. I mean, it's what you want. It's done very well. I'll be honest, guys. I was surprised. I thought this was going to be more.
This game?
Kitschy than it is. It's legit. I really enjoy it. And I think they did a good job. I mean, the production is all, when you feel things and they feel like they're done well.
Sure.
This is done well. I mean, everything's good. Even the dice. You want to move on to is that the next thing? Shall we put our Rangers in?
I think we should do all the cards first, right? So we have all these models, and then what you get with them, I think, is worth showing. Throwing the Rangers in there. I'm just going to make sure on the dice.
Come on, that's great. You gotta love that. You gotta love that. All right, pull the Rangers out. So we get 1 boss in Rita, and then 4 monsters. So during a game, you'll encounter 2 of these 4 monsters. So you've got these 4 to choose from. And then you always hit Rita as your boss out of the core set.
Yep.
But there's plenty of expansion content to change that, and
if
that's something we're amped about.
If you're interested in learning essentially how to play, we have a chapter on the website, but we also post that video, which you can watch. We play through and we show how all this functions.
And we only miss one rule that I know of, which was you clear all the foot soldiers when you kill the boss.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And then you pointed it out to me on the Facebook group publicly. Thanks, Steven. There's also, we didn't cover it, but and I'm honestly not even sure, I just moved too fast for this, but there's something that happens when you go to the command center.
Yeah, when you move there in the base game, all the command center, the middle parts are different because the Shattered Grid has a different one. But whenever you move here, you get a special ability, like just for free. And the problem is, you just really, would you rather stay where you are and recover and like kind of get through it, or would you rather waste an action to move there and then move back? Because I think what we found is that a lot of the times the action is happening where you are, and so to waste 2 actions to move command center and back is just not usually worthwhile.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and show this. We'll give you an example while you're here. This is an example of one of the cardboard tokens out of the box. All of these things are just standard cardboard components. We won't show all of them because we don't want to give the wrong impression if they are changing between the pre-production, but I don't imagine they'll be any different than these little cardboard things. And if you're interested, here's what we're working on in our Panic token to give you a little difference here.
Sure, and ours is obviously dimensional, so it's tall. We found when we were playing, we'll show the map tiles in a second, the token could kind of get lost among all the enemy models and rangers out there. So ours is built, and it's that bright pink right now. So it's just like, you can't miss this is the goal?
Yeah, we found that when this was just laying on the table, it just wasn't enough. But you got to make sacrifices like that in production. I mean, that's the best you can do. And if you're asking yourself, is this an opportunity for these Covenant guys to advertise their token set? You'd be right. It absolutely is. Morphin tokens.
We're going to have a quick word from our sponsor,
yeah,
ourselves.
We really just like taking it to the next level when it comes to the way that you play these kinds of games. And so we have a token set, our Morphin tokens, that's available if you want to check that out, which we hope that you will.
And if you have any questions, let us know on the stream.
Here's some of them. Here's some tokens. You want those? Look at these babies. No, wrong. It's so weird. I'm so not used to myself having a wedding ring. Even now. I'm like, oh, ring on my finger. Anyway. All right.
It's true.
Consider yourself marketed too.
All right. So next up, let's show the cards. So we talked about all the models. So for the Putty Patrollers and Super Putty Patrollers, you basically get a stack of 10. I believe it's 10.
Yeah, it's 10.
10 cards each. And I'll put these here. I don't know if you want to show them or not.
Yeah, let's get into them.
But you can see the art looks like from the comics for each, the Putty Patrollers and Super Putty Patrollers. If you want to flip one of those top cards over, just so people can get a look at what those cards are looking like.
Let me get these a little bit better in there.
So effectively, when you're playing the game, these flip over for every enemy that you're fighting against of that nature. So
if there were, let's do a Putty Patroller line. If there were, let's say, 2 Putty Patrollers in your location, you would flip 2 cards at the start of combat, and then that would explain to you what essentially happens whenever these Putty Patrollers resolve. And if you knock like the Putty Patroller out off of the board before this happens, then it flips over and you're good because it will activate, do nothing, and then you've got another turn. So the long story short is that all of these cards give the foot soldiers their abilities, and whenever you go into a battle, these cards represent the foot soldiers that are in the location. And so the way that those resolve is going to determine how much damage you take and who you remove from the board and these kinds of things. So they're kind of the card representation of what's happening with the miniature there. And so there's that.
Makes sense.
And then
so
you got the Super Putties. We'll just look at one of their cards too. Essentially, I think all foot soldiers should be about the same, like rather difficulty. So there's a little Super Putty Patroller.
Yep, and they kind of just functionally do some different stuff. Now, with each of those, you actually also get these deployment cards. So the deployment cards on the back are going to have a location. And so, as an example, Super Putty Patrollers have 2 locations, 5 for each, Industrial District and Angel Grove High, which will lead us to some map tiles in a second. But all of these have some form, and I'll just flip one over, of deployment. And so this is saying that you're going to deploy 2 Super Putty Patrollers, and they're going to go to the back of the next location. So if this was your deployment deck, they would go to Angel Grove Park.
All right, so then we see we got 2 Putty Patrollers. They're going to go to Angel Grove Park, and then we put them on the map.
Yep. And so it's nice to understand that. It's something I didn't catch at first, because if you look, there's 4 map tiles in the core game, and you have all 4 here on the cards. And when you're modifying the game later with more foot soldiers and stuff, the foot soldiers will come with 10 cards that have 2 different locations on them, which means those are locations you need to be playing.
Your choice of location determines the foot soldiers that you will face. And in a general game, I think the official rules is like you will only ever have 2 different types of foot soldiers. So you bring a 2 stack from one type and a 2 stack from the other type. But you know, it's your game. So if you want to have one of every foot soldier and see if you can make that work, then well, that's your right.
As a ranger,
you bought it. You do what you want.
So you also get similarly, each boss and monster comes with a stack of cards. So they have a card here that actually goes in the deployment deck.
Going in.
And it goes with those cards we were just showing. And so when you reveal that, you actually are going to put out the boss or monster along with some foot soldiers. And then
Let me reveal kind of the way that this works.
Yeah.
So like, let's just do it like this. Let's say this is my stack, and I'm revealing cards from and I reveal this side, yeah. So like, I'm revealing cards here, and it's like, okay, 3 of these guys are going to the industrial district, cool. Let me flip again. It's like, oh no, a monster. And so now I know that 2 Super Putty Patrollers and this monster you would flip up would all go to the next thing in the stack. So Pudgy Pig and 2 Super Putties then go to the Industrial District. So you never quite know where these cards are lurking in the deck, but you build it in such a way that they usually show up on turns 2 and 3, and the boss shows up on turn 4, but there is some variation in that. It's just very rare. We happen to hit it in Shattered Grid, though. And it actually made things easier, which I didn't fully appreciate or expect that it would do that.
It could have made it just game over, too.
Yes.
If it had been the wrong location.
I still wonder if we played it wrong, too. I don't know. We were doing the assault mode thing, too.
I'm sure the internet will discover if we played it wrong or not when that video goes up at some point. But you also get this deck of cards, kind of like the cards of the Putty Patroller. So when you're fighting a boss or a monster, obviously there's only one model, or so far there's only one model. That will probably change.
Let's get Pudgy out here.
Get old Pudgy. And so when they're on the table and you're fighting against them, you actually are just going to flip over 4 of their cards, regardless of how many enemies are there. And so these are usually more powerful, and each boss or monster has a unique spin, and they're kind of attacking in a certain way, or pushing a certain resource. And so you get a stack, you'll flip over 4, you'll fight, and to defeat them, you're going to have to defeat 4 cards for the monsters, and then 6 for the bosses.
And Pudgy's pretty. So you'll kind of get a sense. All of these cards do things a little bit differently, or all of these monsters, I should say, and it fits really nicely to theme, because like Pudgy Pig is basically like your bread and butter, to be terribly kishy, I guess, since that word is on my mind. And it's just doing a lot of damage to different rangers. That's it. You got a fork, you got a knife, you're slicing and dicing. Whereas like people like Madame Woe, I believe, is more of a drain your energy kind of boss. So you kind of start to learn how to fight against them over time too. Yeah, but if you don't know up front, you get pantsed, basically.
She's got, as an example, I won't show them off, but she's got each ranger must discard a random card from their hand.
Right, so a little more control. There's some
different stuff. But yeah, so you can see, you get basically 4 monsters. So we had Pudgy Pig plus these 3.
Let's throw Pudgy in there.
Yep, you get the decks, you get the models, you get the deployment card, and then you also get Rita Repulsa, who is the boss of the core game.
Yeah, let's throw her in there.
So you essentially every game you're going to run into 2 monsters and 1 boss, and in the core game it's basically going to be Rita Repulsa as the boss every time, and then 2 of these 4. So it kind of varies, and when they come out on which turns varies a little bit. So there's a little bit of replayability there.
Yeah, and how many? Is it 10 cards per deck on these? You have 10?
Yeah, I do. I think it's 10.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Only 8 cards, and you've got to defeat 4 of them. So even when you're dealing with these bosses the second time or even a third time, you might actually see cards that you hadn't seen before. And so it keeps a little bit fresh. And sometimes they have like some big things, like a one of in that deck that gets really bad for you. So sometimes they're bringing it, just like in the show, sometimes they're really like kind of taking a day off, and sometimes they're like here to party.
Really, just
really
here
do
to,
something.
to knock you out.
Yeah. So all of these have 8 cards. Let me make sure Rita does too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yes, I am counting.
So not 10, it's 8.
So 8 for each of the bosses, and then their deployment card that will go in the deck.
And then we get to...
It's the bosses you will remember if you were a child like me.
That's right. These
Watching
are the
Power
classics.
Rangers
Except for
as
like
a
Goldar.
young-
He's the one
a
that's
young
missing
boy.
that I feel like
Yeah.
is obviously the big wings and stuff.
Yeah.
So before we get to the Rangers, which is probably the most exciting part, saving it for last, you also get all these map tiles. So there's 4, and I'm just going to build it.
I'm zooming in.
You're zooming in?
Here we go.
So these tiles go down randomly every game, and you essentially have 4 tiles with a command center in the middle
I'm going to go make that better.
out of the core game. All right.
I'm going to zoom out a little bit, guys.
And this is, as we were saying earlier, they correlate with the deployment cards. So essentially, your foot soldiers that you pick are going to determine the maps that you pick. And in the base game, you can play like this, where it's just essentially dictating where these soldiers are going to go. But each tile also has another side, and you'll see the red border show up. And each map tile comes with a different ability that happens at that location. So this is another thing that I didn't quite recognize at first, but essentially each foot soldier comes with 2 tiles. Each tile on the assault mode, which is what these red borders represent, comes with 1 tile that is a positive for the Rangers and 1 that is a negative. And again, that just increases the variability of what you're used to and what you're seeing, and I think it gives you a decent amount of replayability. The assault mode in general is a lot tougher, so that should be a challenge. I know for me, at least for these co-op games, I'm always looking for a challenge. So I dig the assault mode quite a bit. People ask me a question real quick. I'll answer while Steven's situating that. Is Shattered Grid an expansion? And yes, Shattered Grid is an expansion. It will be releasing at the same time as the core game, but it doesn't come with the core game. And we shot a video playing it the other day, and it was incredibly fun.
Incredibly fun. Weird, kind of a weirder video, just the way that it all turned out, but it was incredibly fun. Sorry for the mic here, guys. But yeah, it's really good. It's an expansion, and the beginning of that video may be the most helpful piece of it. Like, we ended up playing a couple of late rounds as well. We played like 3 and 4, I think. But the thing about that video I think that was most helpful is literally showing kind of what we did here. Here's everything in the core box, and here's the additions that if you pick up Shattered Grid adds to it. So you get to see the new bosses and the monster that gets to come in. There's 2 new tiles that are really relevant, and you get all the new Rangers, 7 new Rangers.
In the Shattered Grid expansion.
Yeah, so like, it's the kind of thing for me, well, it depends. There's 2 types of people. One type of person already knows that this is like going to be their life for a while, which is great. You should do that.
They're really into it.
And you should just grab everything. I mean, just go ahead and do it if you certainly have the budget for it. But go ahead and do it. And we've got everything that's dropping on release as a bundle on our store. It's the lowest price. We're matching prices of everybody else online. So that's a really good purchase. And then moving forward, if you just want to get the core box, try out the game for a while, play it, and then you grab something like a Shattered Grid later on to expand that, and you take it a little more slowly, that's a really good way to do it too. I think if you're strategic in picking up expansions to this game, you can get a lot of legs out of it over many, many years. And if you just want every expansion, we also have the subscription service that we run for it as well. So we'll just send you every expansion at 25% off MSRP.
And it's worth mentioning, I've seen a lot of people asking
Let's get
questions.
back into that.
The board.
Yeah, look at this thing.
Renegade announced a web exclusive called Bulk and Skull, and the 2 questions I've seen a lot of are, does the stuff coming out on release come in the subscription, and is Bulk and Skull coming in the subscription? And the answer to both is no. Bulk and Skull is a Renegade exclusive. The only way you can get it is through their website, and then the stuff coming out on launch doesn't come in the subscriptions. It's anything past that, like you said.
Right, anything past release day. Let's go. There's been a lot of questions about these tiles. Did you read both of these tiles?
I didn't read the abilities.
Okay,
no.
so here's what we got. We got the industrial district, and this kind of give you a sense of what changes. So generally, they're blank. They do nothing. This is like the yellow mode is like, oh, everything's cool. Like we're just here to have a little after school special. But whenever you're really ready to dive fully into it, you can flip this industrial district in the assault mode, and I'll read all of these abilities. So this one now says at the start of each battle, in this location, each ranger may draw one card and place one from their hand back on top of their deck. So the assault mode of Industrial District is actually better for the rangers, which is quite nice. Sometimes you need that, / want that. Then we go to Angel Grove Park. At the end of each round, move one foot soldier from this location to the next location clockwise that is not panicked. So Angel Grove is actually working against you because it's essentially kind of distributing foot soldiers so that you can't go to one place and clean them all up, which we've learned is a very
it's funny
unfortunate thing.
They're basically wandering from the park.
Yeah, great, as you do. Then we've got Ernie's Juice Bar.
Can I read this one?
Yeah, please do.
When a ranger in this location performs the recover action, they may recover cards with a total cost up to 9 shields instead of 6.
So Ernie's Juice Bar gets better in assault mode, and the presumption there is that you will need it. And then finally, did we flip this too? We've got the cool little.
It
doesn't say anything, but look, it's got the scary little crosshairs. One of those little touches that didn't have to be there, but it is. And then Angel Grove, hi here. Each ranger in this location has their maximum hand size reduced by 2. Excess cards are immediately discarded, and this is probably the worst ability that I've seen on a location so far. That is devastating for most Power Rangers tactics.
Yep, and I mentioned it earlier. I don't know if you know this or not, but essentially 2 map tiles come with each foot soldier.
Yeah.
And one of the assault mode map tiles is good, and one is bad for the rangers.
Nice. Okay.
So with each pair. So if you're playing assault mode, technically 2 of the locations should be not as good for you, and 2 of them should be better for you.
That makes a lot of sense. And then so in Shattered Grid, you can basically swap 2 tiles out, and if you want to, you can swap the middle thing out.
I think you have to.
Do you have to when you play Shattered Grid?
Well, have to.
Have to in a board game. It's never
you
existed.
can do whatever you want. But yeah, you're supposed to change whenever you play the expansion materials, which makes sense because this is Shattered Grid. Okay, so the next thing we get, which is probably the most, I can put that in the box if you will.
I got nothing but room over here.
All right, is that you get all sorts of ranger stuff. So each ranger is going to come with a ranger character card and also a Zord to match. And I'm just going to lay a handful of these out really quick. And you'll see, classic. So you get all of them, and I'm just going to put these up here. I don't know if you can see them on the screen or not.
Yeah, we've got nothing but room now.
So you get the model to match. You get the character card. Each character has a unique ability that's going on. The character that you bring also brings a Zord to the game. And so when you were powering up, like we were saying earlier, you get a random Zord off the top. And if it's your Zord, you actually get to use it and control it. You also get the Dino Megazord card, which I'll just throw. I don't know where you want to put that.
I'm already just getting nervous about how uncomfortable this is for me.
And so
there's a word for that.
Uncomfortable?
I got to get these organized. All right, here we go. I feel better about it. Continue to keep talking. Don't let my neurosis get in your way.
I'm about to make it even worse because I have piles of cards to add to this.
It's so weird to have to do this backwards, basically.
So on top of all of this, you also get a deck of 10 cards for each ranger. And I'm just going to put the Red Ranger stack down so you can see a handful of those. And so the decks represent kind of your life, and it's a fine balance because essentially if in a battle you run out, your ranger's defeated, you go back to the command center. Depending on how many players are playing, you get extra lives, and so you spend one of those, and once you're out of those, you lose. That's just how you lose the game. But there's a deck for each one. Between the character ability and the deck of cards that you get, it really dictates kind of how the ranger's going to play and makes them feel all unique. You know, like the Red Ranger wants to be the leader. The Pink Ranger is very agile and moving around. Billy, the Blue Ranger, is very smart, and he's dealing with logistics of situations and being a support character.
Kind of stacking your deck, giving you some card draw, that kind of thing.
Zach's, of course, doing some sly dance moves. Just getting out on the
floor.
Doing
a lot of damage to the board, to multiple enemies, seems like, and doing some big strikes.
And it's he's got the multi-enemy, whereas Red Ranger is more can hit one enemy for a lot, sort of a thing.
And then yellow, usually, at least out of the core box, is doing a lot of the, pink is almost more accurate and yellow is fast. So this ability, once per battle, after she plays a card, can immediately play another card with the same name. So it can do a hit kind of thing, accelerates the tempo of your turns. So everybody has their place and their role, and it's so fun. And the cool thing is, you can have a game, with blue, pink, and yellow only, and it's cool. I wonder how that plays. And then you can play a game with black and red and blue. It's I wonder how that plays.
It's totally different.
And it's all different, and your cards are going to play a little bit together. And the other thing here is that the design of the cards is a lot tighter than you would probably expect, certainly more than I did. it's small changes. I mean, especially even just between the different Ranger variants. You're looking at very small changes between the dice being rolled and the abilities, and they're all in kind of a nice contained box where it's not like wildly different every time you play a different Ranger. They have their little, they all feel like Power Rangers doing the same thing, and then a little bit different depending on the color and
Sure.
the style of
Different
Ranger that you
scenarios
are.
they want to create. You know, they all can attack and they can all defend, but some of them attack better, some defend better, some are better against a lot of enemies, some are better against the big enemies, some can take the big hit, whereas like I feel like some of the Rangers, if they took a big enough hit, it's like,
It could be
this
a problem.
is a problem.
Not
yeah.
ideal.
So then to match with all of this, kind of rounding it out, you actually end up with, you get 6 dice in the core box.
Let's just clear this out. I think we need the dice to stand alone. They're nice.
They are very nice.
Nice
So
dice.
we actually, again, this is pre-production. We do not have the Green Ranger die here, which is what I believe the 6th die is.
Is that a core set or is that a Kickstarter
so
thing?
the dice pack, which I recommend to anybody, it comes in the bundle that we have on the site. But if you're not getting it, it was really nice having 2 or 3 dice of each color. So the dice pack comes with Green Ranger dice and White Ranger dice as well. But the core set only comes with 6 dice.
Right.
So we have a pile here of extras.
It only comes with 6 total dice?
6 total dice.
I didn't realize
to
that.
be
So
shared
it
among
has
the
one of
Rangers.
you, so it has a green here as well.
Yeah.
6 to share. Okay, well that feels like a little more teamwork.
Yeah.
There's no way you ever roll more than, well, there's a way you roll more than 6.
Yeah, you just have to, I mean, we've all been there in games.
Or you could roll a d6.
And the dice pack is loaded. It comes with 2 of each color, and it includes the white and the Green Ranger dice.
So once we have the dice pack, we start adding. Now, the important thing to mention about this, so dice pack would also have, we'd also end up with 3 green dice with the dice pack, right? And then 2 whites, I think.
Let me look.
There's no whites in the, there's no White Ranger dice in the.
So it comes with 4, it's just 2 of each.
Look at that too, they have the gold.
Yeah, they have the green with the gold, and then the white has the gold as well.
That's
which is
so good.
Renegade did a stream where they were looking at the dice pack, the dice that came, and they look
They all look good.
great. I mean, these look great, but then the green and gold and the white and gold was just like choice.
So basically, let me just make sure I understand this. Dice pack is this plus 2 White Ranger dice
Plus
and
2
2 Green Ranger dice.
Yep.
And then if we add the core set, we add 1 to all the primary colors. Do we also add a green die with the core set?
You get 6. So I don't know. I haven't.
We don't
seen
know if
those.
it's white or green.
We do not know.
Huh.
And so, but you know, for me, I would say I think having at least 1 dice pack. I might go a little crazy and get a couple.
It's fun to roll your own dice.
Yeah, because like some of your attacks do 5 or 6 dice, right? So like you could have all your color. But
most do 2 or 3.
most are 2 or 3.
So this
each
is
of
a
us
nice-
having, you'll see it in the videos that we do. We each had 3, and so sometimes I'd borrow one. Hey, that's the best roll you've ever had. in this game.
I've ever rolled.
You borrow it from whoever's sitting next to you, and then you have.
And you
plenty,
feel like
but-
a team.
Yeah.
And so it's got 2 blanks, 3 hits, 1 suit, and 1 double?
Yep.
Okay. What are the odds of blanking? 2 out of
1
6.
and 3. Are you trying to test me here?
Yes.
And it's
To check
5
some
hits.
skills.
5 hits per 6 sides, right? So it's almost 1 hit per die that you roll. Just a little dice math.
Thanks.
Little dice
A
math.
little extra unboxing.
Yeah, and here's the pile of cards we didn't show. That's all the Ranger cards and stacked up nice and neat in case you just want to
Just
show
bust
those
them
off.
out. We'll give those to you as well. Does anybody have any, since we're here and we've got it, and I know there's a lot of people with a lot of questions, does anybody have any questions, things they want to see out of this box that they haven't seen? Like I said, there is a rule book in here, and it's beautiful, and it's full page, and it's colorful. We just don't have it with us because it's being used in a study abroad situation.
All right, I'm going to look at chat, see if there's any questions coming through. If you have any questions about the game in general, or the core box, or recommendations, or even our tokens or our subscriptions, I know a lot of people have been asking questions on the Facebook group about that.
I'm gonna
happy to
show our
answer 'em.
tokens since we're done with the core game. Now these are the Morphin tokens. They're in prototype right now. If you're not familiar with us, we've been doing this for. When was our first token set? Our first components.
Technically,
Is the X-wing?
X-Wing compatible templates back in like
That's compatible there, bro.
2012. You gotta know what's up.
Yeah, legal on the case. 2012? Was that when we started?
I think it was 2012 for sure.
So we're about 7 years in? 7 years in.
7 years in, yeah.
So we've been doing this for a long time. We're working with acrylic and wood and what was the other thing we did recently? Oh, the resin stuff for
the boards and
Arkham.
such.
So what we like to do is we just like to amplify the gaming experience. I think Zach and I both realized early on that one piece of our experience with games was just like having nice stuff to really dive into those games with. I mean, we had like some pretty nice deck boxes back in the day when we were like little kids.
As nice as we could.
As nice as we could.
Both because of being kids and limited money.
That's right.
And also because of, looking back, I still have my old, like, what I carried my decks around in the Star Wars TCG. It's very funny how, like, just like
nothing changes.
Non-sleek it is. You know what I mean? It's just like, this is workable. It's basically a padded box with a strap attached to it that you can sling over your shoulder. I will say some comments coming through. Nico saying there's so much room for customization here in the future. He'd love to be able to customize his Ranger's deck along with the Zords and such. And one, you can do whatever you want with this game. That's why
absolutely can.
Board games are cool. But I also wouldn't be surprised if we see that at some point in the future, right? I mean, you can imagine either a totally new deck for Red Ranger from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers or 5 extra cards that you can basically start making kind of deck building style decisions.
I think it'll happen. And if nothing else, we can do it ourselves, right?
That's right. People are talking about wanting to do that, actually.
So here's just a quick look at some of the early prototypes that we're working with. Most of the time, and in this case, all of the time, except for maybe the Lead Ranger, we'll see on cost on that. But they're double-sided, like the damage is 1 and 2. And when we were playing the game, it was like, this is just going to be way easier than stacking a bunch of different damage tokens on a card. So 1 and 2, and most of the time you're doing 2 to 3 damage. So it works out really well. It doesn't cover up the card too much. And these are really nice because they look exactly like a Power Rangers explosive hit.
That's totally what they're inspired by.
It's so killer.
I first saw the token and I was like, I don't know. And then John played me like a 45-second clip of them fighting. It's like sparks going everywhere. I was like, oh my gosh, I forgot how that is so accurate.
Then you remember, when we were playing, we noticed that we would take actions and it would be moving things around. We've got these double-sided exhaust and unexhaust action tokens, so those flip really nicely. It's easy to keep track of what you're doing. And then we've got some energy here, and I don't know if this is the final color.
Also flippable, which is important.
We've got the flippables here,
and
which we found, we were like putting energy on the shared energy pool and then removing it and then adding it every battle, and it was just like, I wish it could just stay there and flip over.
Yeah,
so
that's what we did, right? You just have
implemented flipping technology
across the board. And both with that and the damage, like the damage, you have some of the boss cards are 7 or 8 health. So you, with those 1 damage tokens, it's like putting 6 damage tokens on a single card is really funny.
Less cool. And this is the Lead Ranger token that we're kind of working with. We can't decide if we want to like make it the actual Morphin Rangers, because then it's kind of weird if you're not playing the Morphin team. But at the same time, I don't know, it might work.
I'm a Morphin kind of cat. Hey, we have some questions coming in. First one here from Bill Johnson, top fan on Facebook. Thank you. He says, can't lie, wish they also had the Green Ranger. Tommy was my favorite. Is he in any expansion? Yes and no. So they did a Green Ranger as a Kickstarter exclusive, and it's the model. And anyone that backed the Kickstarter at the full level is going to get that. But they have also said that there are other versions of the Green Ranger and the White Ranger coming in the future. So those will be in expansions. That's not in Shattered Grid. The Green Ranger is obviously Lord Draken, the main villain of the Shattered Grid.
I didn't know that.
Well,
spoiled me.
Spoiler alert.
I lost it.
So the expectation is that the Green Ranger will come in the future, and I'm excited as well. I love the paint scheme, particularly on the White Ranger.
Oh, wait. Well, let's do a shout out. We actually do have the exclusive Green Ranger energy that we've made.
Oh, nice. Do you have the other colors as well?
I've got some of them with me. Here's the green. So you might expect this isn't exactly rocket science. The Ranger specific colors, their energy is going to be in the color of the Ranger there.
This makes a lot of sense because each Ranger gets 1 stored energy, and so this is an energy that you put next to your character and that you have throughout the game, and so you can flip it once you've spent it, flip it back once you get it back. But anyone that pre-orders the Morphin tokens is going to get a set of 1 for each of the primary Rangers. So it's 7, 1 white, 1 green, and then the other primary colors that come in the thing. And I love the primary color, like just the way these colors look. I think we used these in our Shattered Grid video.
Yeah.
It was just
it's better.
Nice little touch.
Better be.
All right, and then another from Stephen Laverty. He said,
"That's my name, dude."
Dude, that's me. He said, "I'd love to see some of the monster cards, kind of like you did for the Hyperforce Rangers in the previous
let's look
video."
at them.
Do you just want to pick one?
Can the chat just give us the monster they want to see between Madame Woe, Nasty Knight, Bones, and Pudgy Pig? We'll do one.
We'll just totally break one down.
We'll do one. What time is it? Is it
3:40?
No, not quite time to get things moving.
All right, let's see.
This
it
live
a
streaming
second.
is a whole new world, Zach. I like this a lot more now that we're got what we need.
You got the
Yeah.
equipment. Got
It's
the
very
Star
nice.
Wars thing over there.
Yeah, we got the little switcher.
Yep.
You see how fast I can go back and forth between these shots?
I like the fades that I was seeing. I
Yeah.
would just catch them when I was just happening to
It's
look
kind
over
of got
there.
a Star Wars vibe, so we can also do like
Let's test it out while we're waiting on.
we can do a mix. So
I'm
check out.
honestly waiting for anyone in chat. Oh, first one was Nasty Night. Nasty Night was the only vote so far.
Mix. You see
It's
that?
going to start pouring in though because there's the audio
It's
delay.
kind of weird.
I can't see
Look
anything.
at that. Kind of. It really is uninspiring. I don't know that I would ever use that one.
What was it?
Then we got the cut. It just boom, boom. You guys like that? We got the cut. Yeah, I like the white. That's what you were seeing was like the Star Wars style one. Nasty Night, is that what we got?
2 votes for Nasty Night.
All right, let's do Nasty Night.
Here comes the Nasty Night.
The early bird gets the worm.
And, yeah.
All right, let me clear these guys.
So we're gonna break this down kind of like we broke the Rangers down on that last one. Just kind of look at everything
let's do
and
it.
talk about them and stuff.
Here, organize those up,
All
and
right.
you know what I'm going to do? Give a better experience for everybody. I think if I zoom in so we can see more of those little cards. So we're going back in. I'll be right back.
All right. You're zoomed out. That's good, so people can see me. So in the deck, I'm just going to name the name of these cards. It looks like we have one card we get 3 of, 2 cards we get 2 of, and 1 card we get 1 of. It's kind of what you were saying earlier, where there's like one particularly bad card. Like they're all not great for you, but like we'll get to it in a second. So the one we get 3 of, which is the one that's going to be most common, and you're likely to see it every time you fight the Nasty Knight, has 4 health. I'm going to read it over here. It's called Lion Shield, 4 health, and it has guard and passive. So that means that any deployment cards next to this card have to be attacked after this one's defeated. So it's got guard, it's protecting its neighbors. It's also got passive, it just means that's always happening. So the passive ability, it says, after a ranger deals damage to this card, that ranger suffers the same amount of damage. And this actually led to a hilarious moment in our gameplay.
It was very funny.
Which is, I didn't quite understand that, and then I went off for like 8 damage on it, and just like nuked myself. Luckily, we had extra life. So essentially, you have to attack this one first, and when you do attack it, you're going to have to suffer the damage back, which is it's a shield. That makes sense,
It's a
right?
shield.
Like he's hitting it back at you. So the next card we have is a 2 of Nasty Slash, 4 health, deal 4 damage.
Easy.
Very basic, very, very fundamental. We also get, I can't read it.
You'll smash and
I
slash.
can read it on the screen now.
Deals 3 damage to a single ranger twice, and that's actually extremely relevant because 3 damage twice is 1,000 times worse than 6 damage in this game.
Yep. And then the one we have 1 of is the Blade Beam, 5 health, so it's a little harder to kill. It's also fast, which means when you flip it over, it's going to move to the front of the line. And if there's any enemy cards with fast, the enemy gets the first turn, which normally the Rangers get a first turn. So this is going to happen. There's nothing you can do to stop it. It's just the first thing that happens. And it says deal 4 damage to the lead Ranger and 2 damage to each other Ranger.
Just right like that.
So
it's crazy.
Nothing you can do.
So this is the
Take it.
special move, right? This is the Blade Beam
Yep.
that it immediately moves to the front of the line. You immediately take all that damage. And then what we found with Nasty Knight a lot of the time that was happening, these Lion Shields are really his bread and butter, which is not surprising, right? Guard is the key ability for this. The shield is, usually you'll have a line that's something like, it might
When the
even
beam happens, it's fast.
It might even be this kind of a thing,
Yep, exactly. So the Blade Beam is going to happen before you do anything, period. Then the second one has a guard.
So you can't really get rid of this Nasty Slash because it's being guarded by the shield, and if you attack the shield, you're taking damage in return. So it can be very frustrating.
Yeah, so then you kind of have this weird choice of like, you probably attack this one next to get rid of it, and then you're just going to take this one in the teeth.
Yeah.
And then the rest of your attacks, it's like, well, do you want to just try to get rid of this card and take that damage as well? So it's just a lot of damage, right?
And you've ultimately got to get rid of 4 cards.
Yeah.
So, do you have to just face down the shield later on? It's really fascinating, and it's great stuff. Very game. Let's do one more. Let's do
All right, let's do one more. That was pretty easy. All right, let's take another vote here. We had Nasty Knight. Next one I see, I'm going to pick.
Lion Shields. See, why am I wasting my time organizing these?
Someone on YouTube asking, will we be releasing a complete gameplay video because we stopped before we got to the end?
That's a good question. I would like to. I'd like to do that. Let's do it.
The first video we did was the core game gameplay, and we stopped after like a monster or two, or the second monster came out. And then the second video we're doing is a look at Shattered Grid, and we actually pick up kind of where we left off with the first game, which is halfway through, so you can kind of see, get a feel for both the expansion, the assault mode, and also the second half of a game and a boss. And so we will look at doing a full game.
Yeah. Well, we'll definitely play one. I don't know if we'll record it.
We could stream it.
Yeah, we'll record. Let's stream it. We'll do it.
All right. Next up, looks like the first one I'm seeing is Bones.
Bones?
Well, there's a lot of Bones and a lot of Madame Woe, but
let's just do them.
Let's just do
them.
All right, you want to hand me Bones so I can organize the cards while you're getting the Madame Woe.
All right, Madame Woe. Let's see here. I remember her being one of the more terrifying villains for me.
Like as a child or just in the game?
Yeah, as a child. Like when I was like, oh no, not.
It looks like I have the same 3-2-2-1 kind of format going on here.
We've got it.
You start noticing these things when you're breaking.
All right, let me get us to our main camera here, or I guess the main camera is probably the people. It's us. All right, so let's run this one down, shall we? Zach, you want to take the first two? I can read the second two.
So the first one is Deadly Claws. This is all right. Let's go back and forth. The first one is Deadly Claws. 3 health. It's fast, which again means you're just going to not be able to avoid it. And it deals 4 damage. So a lot of times she's just going to come out and hit someone for 4. So you have to be really careful attacking Madame Woe one-on-one if you're lower on health, right? Or like even close to low on health.
It can just snipe you right off the bat.
Easily just tank you. Because you look, the second card, which is Breath of Death. I like that. 4 health, also fast. Each ranger must discard 1 random card from their hand.
That's one of the more devastating ones. So you can imagine if you're on that tile, for instance, that lowers your hand size from 5 to 3, and then Madame Woe comes out and discards a card from your hand, you're kind of left with very few options in that combat. To make it worse, of course, these are all fast cards, so at least if there's multiple of them, one of them is going to resolve right off the bat. And then Guard gives the ability to prevent just doing the 3 damage here to these Deadly Claws by giving you a 4 health Guard here that also does 3 damage and drains an energy. So a lot more of a control-y kind of playstyle coming here from Madame Woe. And then the final Guard here is, while it's in play, Rangers cannot deal damage to any other Madame Woe cards. And that is like Super Guard, basically. So a lot of good ways here at the end to make it tough for you to actually get the things off the board that are going to do the damage to you, and then the actual damaging cards. And they're fast as kind of a secondary, like if there's no Guard out, they're still going to take some amount of damage. So she can be pretty devastating to fight against.
I feel like, so she has damage, discard a card, and drain energy.
Yeah.
So the worst case scenario for me would actually be hitting like multiple of the same card.
Yeah.
So like if there was discard a card, like that could just be a rough turn.
Real bad.
Particularly if you have to, or just even picture a couple of these Deadly Claws coming out with teleport. And it's like we have to go after teleport first, and you're just going to probably take 8 damage. Like,
whoops.
That's a lot. Madam Whoops is the real name here. And then of course we have Bones to break him down. I'll lay these down. We'll do the old half read splitsies. Is this in the right rough?
It'll be there, yeah. We'll have to.
I feel like Bones is a nightmare. So the first one is Skeleton Sword. It's got 3 health. It has fast and Guard. So it's going to go to the front of the line, and you have to attack it first, which is really annoying because it'll resolve before you can do anything, and then you have to attack it. And the Skeleton Sword does 4 damage to the lead ranger. So when we were first playing, it was like, what's the point of lead ranger?
Yeah.
And then you get to these monsters and bosses.
It's just bad, as far as I can tell. The lead ranger is just the one that's going to take damage randomly.
You got to be ready to defend. And the second one here is Eye Lasers, which is also fast. He has 3 fast cards. Deal 3 damage to 2 different rangers. So even 2-on-1, you're both going to be taking 3 before you can even do anything. And a lot of times, you'll go into a fight and you'll have one ranger that can play defense, and one ranger that maybe not is in good of a position. And so these kind of cards are just terrifying because it's like, definitely don't be the lead ranger. And then even if you're not the lead ranger, some of these fast cards can just come in and punch you.
Speaking of, let's not sleep on this Gravedigger Slash over here. This is 5 health. You drain an energy, and each ranger must discard the bottom card of their deck. So a very fascinating little card here. So it's essentially like doing, you're probably going to, it's like doing 2 to 3 damage. Most cards you're going to flip 1, and it's going to take care of the damage that you're taking in the 2 to 3 range.
But it's to each ranger.
But it's to each ranger, and it gets rid of a number of shenanigans that the rangers have, which puts cards on the bottom of their deck.
Yeah.
and kind of stacked decks in certain ways. So this is a really nice card, and draining an energy is tremendous. I mean, in Rangers, it's a big deal. It's a very limited resource. You generally have like 3 to 4 to play with across all of your different attacks. So losing 1 is pretty tremendous. And then the regeneration, 7 health, which is the biggest that I've seen on a monster here. Flip all defeated Bones cards in this battle face up. They are no longer defeated.
So if that's in play, you have to go after it first, essentially.
Yeah.
Unless there's guard.
I mean, or it could be in the first or second slot, and then you basically say, maybe we just have to not defeat anything for the first 2 turns and think about it, and then we'll come back in and get rid of 2.
Yeah, but every other card in this deck is fast.
Yeah, and you've got 3 guards with the skeleton sword.
This is also always going to be the last card.
That's awesome. That's why, right? That makes sense. That's so good.
Yeah, it has to be. It has to be the last card. That's really good design.
Well done. Let's talk about the art for a second. Hold on. Let's get back in there.
Yep. Yeah. Zoom in. Zoom out.
The art in this game, generally, and as you can see from the art here on the cards, is phenomenal. It's probably the best adaptation of this kind of a game and this kind of a series and IP that is, like you said, that has that kind of campiness to it, can be done with respect without losing the excitement of the style. And this is just, I mean, it looks like it's right out of comic books to me.
I think it is.
And it's just so well done.
I literally think all this art is from the comics.
Well, it makes me want to read them all.
But that's honestly where, I think a game like this,
Perfect.
right? I've seen it. The old Star Wars games, right? They would use shot pictures from the show or the movie, right? It's just like stills from the movie.
Yeah.
And I like this 10 times better.
This is just so good. And the artists who are doing this are so talented. It's very obvious that it's good
since
style.
We're here, we've only not shown one of the monsters.
Let's do it.
You just want to do Pudgy?
Yeah,
is it Pudgy that we didn't do?
Yeah, let's do the Pudge.
Pudgy. I'm surprised.
We kind of did show him early
up
on,
front.
but
Here's the Bones card.
Thanks. Keep things tidy. Let's get Pudgy in here.
Quick question while you're setting that up. Eats Wolf says, will the Morphin token set come in each Ranger color? So the standard energy tokens will be all one color.
Probably some kind of neutral color. Jonathan's keen on the lighter blue, but I don't know. We might go like a gray or something to kind of symbolize that it's universally usable.
Yeah. But if you pre-order it, which is going to be going on for the next couple of weeks, are we missing a card?
No, he broke the mold. 3-3-2.
He has 8.
Yeah, they all have 8. They've all got 8.
There's 3,
3, 2, 2, 1. That's 8.
Pudgy Pig doing it different. He's just
That's 8, dude.
He's just solid. All right, so the specific color tokens, you get 1 of each color in each set pre-ordered, and those are basically intended to be used as the stored energy that each Ranger gets. So you can kind of, if you're the Red Ranger, use the red token, or the Black Ranger, use the black token. But yeah, just pre-order that Morphin token set. You get the full token set in acrylic, and then you get the exclusives as well.
All right, let's look at the old salad fork stab. We talked about this a little bit earlier. If we just kind of do a quick rundown, we have 1 guard stack of 3, 1 fast stack of 2, and then 1 just general stack of 3. So
the old bread and butter move.
Let's actually start with the fast passive, because it's often going to be at the front. While it's in play, Rangers cannot play cards with an energy cost greater than 0.
I remember that. That was so annoying.
Very devastating ability of Pudgy Pigs. This is one that will haunt many of us for years to come.
Well, it's because, so you have fast passive, and if it happens to be next to guard, by the way.
It's real bad.
It's really bad, because the fast passive thing, most of the 0 cost or 0 energy attacks are only like 2 dice.
Yeah.
So you're only going to do 2 damage per attack. You have to have 3 2-dice attacks to realistically defeat that card.
Yeah, Ravenous Hunger. And then you still got to defeat the other things.
If it's next to a guard,
impossible.
Good luck, because you have to, this is 3, and you're only going to get usually 2 dice. So hopefully you have a way to add a die or reroll to get the double damage. But yeah, he's actually surprisingly he's straightforward, right? He's not draining cards, he's not draining energy, but he's making it tough to defeat his cards. I think he's less painful, but he's also just hard to remove.
Yeah. Very, 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 very good. So we saw the guard, we saw the fast passive. The guard, not to mention, does 4 damage to whoever has the most cards in their hand. So that is awful.
Just all of a sudden.
And then deal 3 damage to 2 different Rangers. So just a really nice, technically annoying stack of cards. If you don't get the Ravenous Hunger, be excited, because you just got an easier time of it.
You got a lot. You got lucky.
It looks like Dan Mora maybe is the artist that we're working with here. The same person who did the comics is doing it, and it sounds like the art is being done specifically for the game by the same artist.
If this is original art, my impressed level just went from like
We need to ask
7
Renegade
to
if that's
20.
the case. Somebody out there knows we're streaming
if
to
you're,
enough
if you're
people.
watching and you know that this is from the comics, let us know. Or if it's brand new original, I would also love to know that.
Do you want to see Rita? Is that something we want?
I mean, we're here.
We've done them all.
The only thing we haven't done is the all the Ranger cards, which we're not going to do.
We did that. We did that for Shattered Grid. Yeah, you get to explore that in the core box. Let's
just
show Rita. We've already.
Let's get in.
I actually haven't seen the spread of. Now, don't watch this if you just want to get wrecked by Rita.
So someone, by the way, is saying that the art is half and half. Some's pulled from the
cool.
comics. A lot of it is original, though.
That makes sense.
So what's her spread here?
Well, she's got a lot of. She's got a
2-2-2-1-1.
Yep. 2-2-2-1-1. So let's start with the fast cards because
There's
you'll
a lot
see
of
there's
them.
a lot.
So look, it looks like what, 5 fast cards, 2 guards, and 1 passive.
Yep. All right, we're going in.
All right, so I'll go with the first one, which is Shadow Binding. It's 7 health, which is a lot. It's
Sorry.
fast. It's moving, so I can't read it. Deal 3 damage to the ranger with the most cards in their hand. That ranger must discard their entire hand.
It's so bad.
And it's fast, right? So luckily, there's other fast cards in here. So it isn't necessarily the first card you're going to see. But if this is the first card, whoever has the most cards in hand, and a lot of times at the first of a fight, everyone has the same.
Yeah, 5.
Someone's going to have to just take 3 and be out of the fight.
Yeah.
So she's immediately just taking a ranger out.
It's devastating. Completely devastating. And the way that fast cards work, if I draw this, it goes to the front of the stack. If I draw a second fast card, it actually moves to the farthest end of the stack. So sometimes it being the early fast card works in your benefit because it will resolve later in the stack.
But still 7 health. It's going to happen.
It's bad, and it's real bad. Wicked Hex, 6 health, fast card, deals 6 damage to the ranger with the fewest cards in their deck. So you can see how this is pretty quickly going to compound.
That's pretty brutal. I thought it was fuse cards in hand.
Discarding
cards
your
in deck.
hand, now you're discarding your deck. So one ranger could easily get singled out here and completely wrecked.
I mean, if you go into a fight against Rita and you only got like 3 cards in your deck, if this pops up and there's 2 as fast, you could just be out of the round.
You could be out of the round, and let's not forget that you might discard your hand and take 3 damage on top of that. So now your deck's even lower. It's a real problem. And then we've got Chain Lightning, a classic ability here. Fast, deals 4 damage to each ranger. What more is there to say about that? Then we've got probably the most impressive passive. Obviously, that would make sense since she's the boss. While this one's in play, the energy cost of all combat cards is increased by 1. That's so bad. Especially you imagine like a world where you just fought Pudgy Pig and all of your 0 costs are now out of your hand, and so you're holding on to your 1s and 2s, and now they're 2s and 3s, and you get 1 of them in the entire battle. It's devastating. And then finally, Cruel Laughter, a nice guard card and some fantastic art there. Each ranger must discard from their hand the card with the most shields. And usually that means your bigger attacks, your better attacks.
Yep.
So Rita's cards here finding a way to make sure that your bigger attacks are hard to land or can't land at all, and then also just thinning out your deck and doing a lot of damage in the meantime.
Well, and like the couple things to think about here are to defeat a boss, you have to defeat 6 of her cards. So you're going to have to fight her probably, I guess, at least twice.
At least twice,
And that might be in the same round. You might do it across rounds. When you defeat a card, it actually goes away, so you won't see it again, which is nice. But you have to defeat 6 of these things.
Yep. And so you might get hit with a double shadow binding, for instance.
Which is just
not good. It's not good.
No bueno.
It's hard, and that's fun, because sometimes you won't win, and that's okay. Every cooperative game should be harder than it is easy.
I feel like the sweet spot for me would be... here's what I was going to say. Think about those cards. When you play Assault Mode, she deploys to the command center.
Yep.
And if she's there at the end of the round,
you're done.
You lose.
Yep.
So when you're playing in Assault Mode against Rita, you have to defeat her. You have to do those 2 fights in the same round, which is intense.
Yikes.
Pretty crazy.
That's about it, isn't it? Anybody, last chance for questions. We'll stick around here for a couple of minutes, and then we'll be out of here. We wanted to pop in and do this live stream because we saw a lot of questions on the video that we posted on YouTube, and then also in the Facebook group. There's been a lot of, there hasn't really been a proper look at what's in this box in an easy to understand way, so hopefully you have seen that here today.
And I think there's a lot going on. We've even found out when we started listing stuff on our own website with this game, because you have the core game, which is what we just unboxed. Well, at launch, you also have the Shattered Grid expansion. You have a monster expansion, which comes with 2 monsters and a boss. You have the dice pack. There's something else I'm missing. Let me just look.
There's one of those weirder. Don't you have like you can upgrade the boss to a sweet miniature or something?
There's the Megazord expansion.
Yeah, the Megazord
the
can be
expansion, which is
on the board
like
would be awesome.
A Megazord, but the enemy. Let me see. I think that's it. Yeah. So you have a lot of stuff going on, and then there's been very little. Obviously, the game's not even out yet, so they're not talking about the future of the game. But this game is obviously built, as we walk through this, for expandability, for ongoing expansions, for variability. Where they take this game, I think there's a ton of potential, which is what gets me excited about it.
This is not that different. I mean, the lines are no longer here. We've seen them dissolve. But I think when LCGs started to hit, that was when the line really blurred. What's the difference?
Is it a board game? Is it a miniatures game? Is it a card game?
It's all the same. It's just that it's a game and you can expand it forever. So if you love Power Rangers, you can look forward to having I don't know what 5-10 years of releases for this thing. Depends on how it goes. I guess. How many Rangers fans
I didn't realize
there
how
are.
deep the comic and TV show lore went. So I feel like they could do this for.
Well, if we've seen X-Wing get all those ships out over, they can do anything with Power Rangers.
100%. And it's important to mention too, this is the core game. So it's coming out mid-August. On our website we have it in our I think it's called the starter bundle.
It's starter bundle.
Comes with this Shattered Grid, a dice pack, the Megazord, Cyclopsis. Am I missing anything in that list?
It's everything that comes out on release.
All
It's everything
release
you can
stuff.
get that is worthwhile.
And a dice pack, I think I mentioned that.
Yeah.
And then we also have a subscription. You can sign up. Everything coming out past that point that's not like an exclusive or a convention exclusive, you automatically get. You don't prepay for it. It just shows up at your house, 25% off plus shipping. Super easy if you just want to sign up and not ever think about it again.
It's really good for co-op games too. So we've found that games like Arkham and Lord of the Rings, like the cooperative games that we've had over the years, generally have a much higher subscription base, just because everybody wants to get the products regardless of how the metagame's going.
Sure. Since
the cooperative games, there's not really a metagame, it's more likely that you just want everything, and so the subscription is actually a really good solution there. If you just want to, it's kind of like somebody was talking to us about it at a convention last year. It's like you don't even have to pay attention at all, and then you'll come home and there's a package there, and it's like, oh my gosh, something new must have come out for Power Rangers. You open it, you get to unbox it there on the spot. You don't even need to know what it is in advance.
Just ready to go.
And then you get your play group together, you get your kids together or whatever, set it down on the table, and you can now plan like a night around it or a couple of nights around it.
And so I've talked to a lot of people who, with those kind of games, even this example, but they'll sign up and they'll get like a pile of stuff.
Yeah.
And then it's like, then they'll schedule their Power Rangers night or their Arkham night or their whatever night. And
it'll be there.
You experience it all at once, right? So it's just an easy way to do that. And then, of course, we showed them off earlier, but we have the Morphin tokens that are up for pre-order. If you order those while they're up for pre-order, you'll get the exclusive tokens, which are themed in the colors of the various Rangers. And those are getting near completion.
Yeah, they're getting there. We probably will have to play a few more games of Heroes of the Grid before we've sorted this out.
I agree.
On company time, please.
Yeah, right. Pay me to do this. I believe we are also supposed to be getting, because we showed Shattered Grid, we have that video coming soon, where we play with Shattered Grid and on top of the core game. All the other stuff coming out, we should have very soon. So maybe we'll either unbox or play with those or whatever. I'm super pumped about the Megazord.
Yeah, just having it on the table.
Yeah.
Everything else feels so big, and then it's like, oh, we got a Megazord. Any last minute questions before we get out of here?
People just saying they're excited to get the game and they're going to be ordering tokens soon. That's what I'm seeing.
Great. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. This is one of these games that has built a pretty solid groundswell over time. Renegade has done a great job with the marketing of this. The game itself is excellent. The art and the ability to basically absorb yourself in this universe for 1 to 2 hours is all very much on point. The figures feel great. We wouldn't be doing these kinds of videos if we didn't believe in this game as a great product. So thanks for watching it. We hope you'll continue with us on this journey with Power Rangers. And if you have any questions, leave them in the Facebook group or post them on various videos or live streams, and we'll see if we can answer them in a later video or stream. So thank you guys very much for watching. Zach?
You ready to get out of here?
Let's get out of here. Till next time, keep playing.